Dun, dun.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the US Capitol building. If you've joined us today for the insurrection, please make sure you pick up a promotional leaflet on the way in, stay inside the safety cordons at all times, and if you get lost, speak to one of our Capitol police officers. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And be sure to set aside a little time today to join us for some insurrection activities, including our photography tour, our fancy dress competition, and have a go on our climbing wall. But don't forget those safety ropes. And I've now received the results of our fancy dress competition. The winner today is Jacob Chansley. That's Mr. Jacob Chansley. If you could report to your nearest Capitol Police officer, they'll be sure to give you your prize, a guided tour of the building. And all that's left is for me to thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the insurrection. Wherever possible, please try to clean up after yourselves. Don't forget to visit the souvenir shop on the way out. And feel free to join us on the outdoor terrace for Nancy Pelosi's Insurrection Soiree. Grab yourself a light refreshment and enjoy the music of our very own fancy dress competition winner.
There you go. It was quite the event.
That's great, Eric. That is fantastic. Wow. What the hell? I mean, that's not even that far-fetched. You know what they're doing?
No, that's the brilliance of it.
Right. It's not even a stretch, bro. I mean, that's 99% of the crap that went on. Wow.
I've got the I have PTSD from going to conferences those chimes.
Yeah.
We are time for the first session. Time for the first session when you're eating breakfast.
But
okay, well, it's a corporate thing.
Brilliant. Whoever made that's a genius. We're going to staple.
That's actually one of the editors. Yeah, that's one of the editors for the quartering.
Okay, very well done. Very well done.
I asked his permission. He was cool with it.
Oh, great. Because, I mean, you're watching the Tucker footage day after day, and it's not that far off. And then the other side is countering that he edited the footage that they've been editing for 2 years. They're saying that he edited it, like he brought in a master team of Hollywood cutters. Holy cow!
All right, I'm getting complaints about my sound in locals. By the way, we have 76 on locals.
Hold on, where are they? Over there? Oh, they're on locals, right? Okay, over there.
And they're locals. Yep. I don't know how many are watching on Rumble. 263 on Rumble.
Oh, they're on Rumble. Okay.
Hopefully. How is the sound for everybody? I know one person is complaining. I need to get more feedback before I start tearing things apart.
I think
I'm in a hotel room.
How was my sound? Okay, or because I switched over to.
Well, you sound bad to me, but I have the same connection.
What about to our followers at home? Who sounds better, me or Hunley?
Well, you always sound.
No, I don't know. I had the iPhone last time. Now I'm using my laptop.
Okay, Mark is good.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm good. Hunley, deal with your own problems.
Right. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. You know what? I'm going to switch to the built phone. Everybody tell me if this is any better.
That sounds underwater.
This sounds underwater to you, or?
To me, yeah, but I don't know how it sounds to the people, to the masses, to the great unwashed, to the people who are out
unwashed.
If they are unwashed.
All right. Well, all I can do is. Sorry, folks. Okay. Well, some like it better.
Some like it hot.
Obviously, I'm going to have to figure out a microphone situation. But for right now, hold on. I'll try one more thing.
We're winging it today, people. Winging a prayer. Winging a prayer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Definitely
going to go through the same thing. Well, no, on Sunday we're going to do something else, right?
Yes, I think that's going to be local. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to deal with the AirPods. Anyway, it is what it is. I can't do much. Got to get on YouTube.
Well, I think you look all right, you sound all right, and I think, by golly, you are all right. To paraphrase, Al Franken, who I said I ran into the other day, oddly enough, hiking.
Really?
Yeah, like right in front of my house. I mean, up the street by the Greek Theater. Get me to the Greek on time with Russell Brand. I live right by the Greek Theater, so I was hiking up there. And there's Al Franken just by himself hiking, going in the other direction. So we stopped and caught up on a lot of bizarre stories. Let me put it that way. And, I'm with someone who doesn't know who he is. And I'm just saying, like, this is a former senator of the United States. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. Like, I don't know him as a senator. I know him as a guy I partied with, and hung out with. So
right. Well, I know him as an author too, as a counterpoint to Ann Coulter.
That's true. That is true. He did those books.
They were going like back and forth.
Like, Rush Limbaugh was a big fat idiot. I think was a bestseller for him. That being said, we had a lot of friends in common, including ourselves. So it was a interesting combination. I'm in the next room over, Eric. That's funny. That's funny. I'll be in the next room tomorrow. I'll be when I get over there. But right now, the best thing I ever saw was when Viva went into the room with Barnes in Florida or wherever they were. Remember they had a split screen and then they.
Yeah. We did the same thing in Dallas.
We did the same thing in Dallas. That's right.
Yeah. Everybody's saying turn in the barrel. Okay, we'll do the best we can. Sorry.
This is where Hunley goes full spectrum-y. Like when everything's fine, Eric's fine. But when things deviate, all of his autistic spectrum shit comes out.
Yeah, so I brought my service animal to help me out.
You need that. That's your support animal, bro.
That's right. So he came to Vegas.
Schnook.
All right.
Let's go with schnook, the Yiddish word of the day. I think you might hear that a lot in the Three Stooges. Schnook. But here's my movie pick of the weekend, which I am going to
watch. Awesome.
Art School Confidential, which I haven't seen since it came out. It's an interesting film. Let me just see who's in it, because I know Paul Giamatti's in it. And a couple other people are in it. Angelica Houston. Wow. Did not know she was in it. John Malkovich. Bunch of unknown other people, but I am recommending this movie to our viewers for this weekend, Art School Confidential. I'm not going to say anything more about it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So where are we? We have a lot of news.
We have a few things going on. One big, this is my first Freeform Friday of freedom.
Hunley has retired from the industrial world, my friends. Eric Hunley is a free man. He's a free man, free white and 21. Congratulations, Hunley. Tell him what he's won, Bob. You get a Rolex watch and a trip to Puerto Vallarta. Dude, what about the people who are going down for the tummy tuck who turned out to be drug dealers and were executed by the drug cartel? 2 of them survived, 2 of them killed. Long history of drug dealing themselves. And the initial story was tummy tuckers get kidnapped and executed. Turns out that the tummy tuckers might have been their own drug cartel people out of South Carolina, rented a car, drove all the way to Brownsville, Texas. One girl couldn't make it. It saved her life. She didn't have a voter ID, Eric, AKA a driver's license, and was not allowed in by the Mexicans. Thereby saving her life because she did not have voter ID, which I found to be ironic. And 2 were shot. 2 were kidnapped. I'm not sure where the story is right now, but it started out as a tummy tuck gone bad.
Isn't that always the case though? You start off with one narrative and then you just wait how about as a rule, we just wait a few and let the facts come in?
We just take a beat. No, that's not going to happen anymore. Everybody's got to editorialize on a story. We had a guy yesterday. This is unbelievable. The guy, it was a drunk driving thing. They chased him all around, ends up at a ravine where he can't go any further. He's boxed in by 800 cops. They did like 5 pit maneuvers, 2 strips, and the guy's driving a pickup truck, right? A big fat guy driving a pickup truck. He's inebriated, whatever's going on. He is like in a slow motion chase. They're boxing him in. He's weaving out one of these LA PD things that's completely insane. So they box him in, and somebody could just walk over and get him. You know, he's in the car with the window down. He's inhaling gasoline from a red balloon filled with gasoline fumes. This is a huffing method. I haven't seen this in a long time. You put in some drops of, you could do it with a garbage bag. Huffers do this. You put in some drops of gasoline, and then you can inhale the fumes from the bottom of whatever the container is. And he's hitting the vape pipe, which has, I presume, either meth or weed in it. Okay, sitting in the driver's seat, surrounded by cops, and this goes on, this event on TV, nothing's happening. At one point, he tries to reverse the truck, but they're literally on his tail. He can't move an inch, right? So the wheels just spin. He doesn't do anything, just sitting there. This goes on for 5.5 hours of him sitting in the driver's seat with them 15 feet away with guns pointed at him. At one point, the LAPD changed shifts and new guys came in to stand 15 feet away from him with their guns drawn. I never, and then they started to evacuate the people in the surrounding houses. Not evacuate, they had to go to work. So the people were escorted out of their homes to go.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
Dude, it was just ridiculous. So at the end, it just ended last night. I couldn't take it anymore. I was in the gym and I couldn't watch it anymore. So at the end, they already had thrown tear gas into the cab of the truck, a small Toyota pickup truck. They've already thrown tear gas in. He threw it out. He's hitting the balloon, this big red balloon, and he's hitting the vape pipe nonstop with his arm out the window of the truck, right? Watching everything in the rearview mirror. Now, in the rearview mirror are the cops, and they're literally 20 feet away. Okay. When they go to throw in the tear gas, which happened a couple of times, they walk up with their shields, drop in the tear gas, and retreat back like Roman gladiators, right? They could have just grabbed the guy, but no, that's against the procedure. So the guy just takes the tear gas canister and flings it back out at them and continues to hit the pipe, right? So the announcers couldn't get enough information to deal with this thing because it got so bad that they started to cover other stories. It was on every channel. Because the ratings go through the roof. So dig this. Finally, they bring in the SWAT team, right? So they bring in the SWAT team in a Bearcat, but because the LAPD is backed up in back of his truck all the way up the street, they now have to move 11 LAPD squad cars in a row to get the Bearcat close enough to be of influence to the situation. Okay. So they leave like one SUV on his bumper so he can't escape, right? So the Bearcat comes in back of that SUV, and it's filled with the SWAT guys who are loaded for bear, in essence, the Bearcat. So the SWAT guys jump off as like they're in Iraq, ready to do battle. And here the guy is in the cab of this Toyota truck, just completely high as a kite, laughing his ass off, right? Okay. This is how it ends. I'll get to the end of the story. They get a drone. Now bring the estimates on the overtime and the cost of this for 5.5 hours, hundreds of cops, all kinds of vehicles, all kinds of crimes being committed elsewhere while this is going on. Gunships, helicopters, Bearcats, machine guns, cannons, nuclear weapons. Okay. They go to Zeitgeist level 5 or whatever that is, and they bring in the SWAT team with the drone. The drone comes down, flips in some other kind of CS gas, which only our followers in the police department would know what this is. because they were trying not to find a gas that was explosive that would blow up the gas balloon that he was inhaling. So they didn't want a pyrotechnic device. They wanted something that would not blow up. So that gas comes in. That finally spills him out of the cab. Whatever this final gas that only the SWAT team has spills him out of the cab. He runs about 25 feet and then lays down on the cement, and the SWAT team handcuffs him. And that's the end of the story. It could have been done not 5.5 hours before when the standoff started. It could have been done on any freeway where they were following him at 5 miles an hour doing, I think, 4 pit maneuvers on him, spinning him around in pit maneuvers to no avail. They do these pit maneuvers. The guy's got to be going about, I don't know, 35 miles an hour to do the pit maneuver. So he's going 35 miles an hour. They spin him around and he drives off 35 miles an hour in the other direction. And apparently this is the policy now. And the policy is leading to civilians getting hit and killed, which has happened repeatedly in the past 2 months. This has happened again because they will. And this is not LAPD. It's not up to them. The sheriff's department doesn't abide by this. Orange County doesn't follow this. Only LAPD is ordered by the mayor to do this particular type policy, which goes on. I mean, you couldn't be more embarrassed as a cop than what you wish. They were so embarrassed. The announcers were embarrassed for them yesterday. That's why I wanted to go with this story.
Jesus. Well, congratulations. Enjoy your home.
Yeah. The guy won't be out for a while because of, whatever he did, he could care less. The guy was so freaking high. It doesn't really matter. But the waste of manpower, the absolute waste of physical manpower in a city where hundreds and hundreds of cops have been fired because of, defunding the police. And yet this goes on. I just got to tell you one additional thing. They brought in a guy dressed in black, big guy, right? And they said, who is this guy? Ready for this? This guy's talking to him from behind the police cars. He's a hostage negotiator, but there's no hostage. So again, you can't make this up, Hunley.
Well, he's holding himself hostage.
No, he's not doing anything. He's a hostage negotiator negotiating with a guy who has no hostage. That's how crazy this has gotten to avoid. They shot him with beanbags. They shot him with tasers. Nothing affected him because he was so freaking high. So the hostage negotiator is yelling at him from behind the cop car to give himself up and his hostage, who is, of course, himself. I mean, it reminded me of Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles, where he puts the gun to his head and takes himself hostage as the sheriff. And he says, get back, or the N-word gets it. It's Cleavon Little. Anyway, it was that surreal. They have a new policy here now where they want to bring in a team of sociologists who are, I think this hostage negotiator might have been part of that new team, where they're going to talk you out of committing violence. So I think this was one of the first examples where they brought in a member of the sociology division, I guess. I don't know what it's called. The tactical empathy sociology department that's going to come in and rationalize with a guy who's huffing a balloon of gas while smoking meth out of a vape. So, you know what I mean? Because they teach you how to do that at UCLA.
I have one question, though.
Yeah.
Who's going to spend more time in, him or Jacob Chambly?
I don't know who Jacob Chambly is, so I can't answer.
The QAnon.
He's going to do 4 years. I mean, unless a certain guy gets back in the presidency and pardons every single one of these cats, which I can only hope and pray for. I mean, watching Julie Kelly last night, who should get every Pulitzer Prize known to womankind. Talk about the fact that there's still hundreds of guys, over 100 people in prison in the DC gulag. I just almost start crying I can't even read the story anymore without going to tears over how emotional I get over this particular story. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people got emotional when the Japanese were interned after 1942 by FDR, the Democratic liberal who interned the Japanese Americans. But hey, they lived in barracks out in the desert and had a softball team. You know what I mean? So it's a little different incarceration than what's going on in DC. And how these judges are in on it. Kelly explained it in pretty good detail today in An American Greatness, which I really recommend her piece today. It's a checklist of facts regarding the case in case anybody ever doubts what happened. It's a marvelous checklist of events and facts involving the victims of J6, the real victims of J6.
Well, another thing, did you know that his lawyer has come out and said that he did not get that footage, even though we requested it?
Right. Well, she said that last night. None of them have. None of the defendants are allowed to see that footage. Now, that being said, that Tucker has aired it. It's going to be very awkward, according to Julie Kelly, to continue to prevent them from seeing footage that 299 million Americans have already seen. That's going to be really weird. But
I think that's Brady violations. I've been talking with Nate about it. It's a big deal.
I'm not saying it's not a big deal at all. I'm saying that these guys have grounds to sue every single person involved in this case, from the federal judges to Merrick Garland to, the DC police that are in there beating the crap out of them, according to many of them. They're getting physically abused every day, which I do not doubt at all. It's maybe one of the biggest travesties in American history since, the Hoover raids and this internment in the 1940s of the Japanese. I mean, this is going into the American Hall of Shame, without it. And maybe number one with a bullet in terms of the greatest violations of civil liberties in American history. Pound for pound, Eric.
I hope it does. I hope it does. Speaking of idiots, I don't know if you saw any of the hearing that was going on yesterday.
What?
On Capitol Hill.
I saw a snippet with Matt Taibbi with that Garcia woman trying to get his sources out.
Okay, here we go. Yep, well, I've got this segment, but it goes further. I think she may go down as one of the stupidest people I've ever seen.
Right.
But let's see. And hopefully it plays all right.
Crank the sound up, whatever it is.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for.
Are you hearing it on your end?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I get that last time. I apologize, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Taibbi, I want to follow up a little bit on the ranking member's questions. When was the first time that Mr. Musk approached you about writing the Twitter files?
Again, Congresswoman, that would.
I just need a date, sir.
But I can't give it to you, unfortunately, because this is a question of sourcing, and I don't give up. I'm a journalist. I don't reveal my source.
It's a question of chronology.
No, that's a question of sourcing.
Because you earlier said that someone had sent you through the internet some message about whether or not you would be interested in some information.
Yes, and I referred to that person as a source.
Yeah.
So you're not going to tell us when Musk first approached you?
Nice try.
Again, Congresswoman, you're asking me to you're asking a journalist to reveal a source.
So then you consider Mr. Musk to be the direct source of all this?
No, now you're trying to get me to say that he is the source. I just can't answer your question.
Well, he isn't. If you're telling me you can't answer because it's.
We got a real Perry moron here.
No, she's not. She's twisting it pretty well, Eric. As a matter of fact, she gets castigated later for attempting to put words in his mouth. But it's not a bad job by her to entrap him into saying Musk is his source. He just doesn't take the bait. He's too smart. But she is trying, at least, Eric.
All right, well, trust me, she gets worse and dumber.
It's your source. Well, then the only logical conclusion is that he is, in fact, your source.
Well, you're free to conclude that.
Well, sir, I just don't understand. You can't have it both ways, but let's move on because
no, he can. He's a journalist.
No, he can't, because either Musk is the source and he can't talk about it, or Musk is not the source. And if Musk is not the source, then he can discuss.
No one has yielded. The ladies out of order. You don't get.
See, this is such a bullshit legal trap, though, because
they want his name on the record as often as they can. This is not a trial. I mean, Taibbi is not a witness in a court case. They just want to say Musk over and over again.
Well, okay, that might be, but I'm just saying that the little logic games of the whole. If you name him, if you can't name. By saying I can't name him because he's a source is identifying him as a source. So it's a bullshit trap.
I agree.
It really is.
I agree.
And she's out of order because he's interrupted.
You're
not recognized.
He has not said that. What he has said is he's not going to reveal his source. And the fact that Democrats are pressuring him to do so is such a violation.
We're asking him about his conversations with Musk.
The gentlelady has not yielded you time. You don't.
I have not yielded time to anybody. I want to reclaim my time, and I would ask the chairman to give me back some of the time because of the interruption.
You know, it's funny because her own female sidekick was the one who started squealing on the side without getting permission of the chair. If you follow what happened, another woman Democrat, not identified here because the camera didn't move, but
it's the ranking member, I believe.
I don't know who that is, but whoever it was spoke out of turn. And then she is now asking for time back that her own colleague took from her, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, well, it's because there was a ton of that crap.
I'm asking you if you will give me the seconds that I lost.
We will give you that 10 seconds.
Thank you.
They're too nice.
Let's
They should
talk
have
about
shut her. What have they not learned from what has just happened for 2 years? Why are they so nice, Eric? They're just going to keep taking advantage of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell her to shut the F up. We're moving on.
Right.
Dude, I mean, you know, Barnes talked about him the other day, whether this guy's going to grow some real testicles or not, Jim Jordan, and do the right thing. So the book is still out on Jim Jordan. Hopefully,
let's see.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. You know, I say, yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead and keep going. There's more to this. She's insane.
And another item that when you responded to the ranking member, you said that you had free license to look at everything, but yet you yourself posted on your I guess it's kind of like a web page. I don't quite understand what Substack is. But, that
she's faking. She's faking it. That's okay.
Of course she's faking it, but I would so badly want to say, well, I understand you're not informed about the web. Well, I understand you're
right,
not
but it's
savvy.
not a dialogue. It's not like you can go back and forth with them. She's trying
No. They made that clear.
She's trying to minimize the importance of the Twitter files and minimize Matt Taibbi by mispronouncing his name and also minimizing his existence on Substack, that he's no longer with the incredible recording device called Rolling Stone, which is the Pravda of American media. So, I mean, if he was still with Rolling Stone, she would revere him probably.
Well, they introduced him as a so-called journalist.
They said,
he went off about the ranking member said, I understand you claim to be, or you're a so-called journalist or something. He goes, no, I actually am. He's like, I won the national award. I did this.
That I'd like to see. That I didn't see that.
But this one, she is astoundingly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
In exchange for the opportunity to cover a unique and explosive story, I had to agree to certain conditions. What were those conditions? She asked you that question and you said you had none, but you yourself posted that you had conditions.
No, the conditions, as I've explained multiple times.
No, sir, you've not explained. You told her in response to her question that you had no conditions. In fact, you kind of used the word license, that you were free to look at all of them, all 100,000 emails.
The question was posed, was I free to write about?
Sir, did you have any conditions?
The condition was that we published on Twitter.
Sir, did you have any conditions, yes or no? A simple question.
Yes.
All right, could you tell us what conditions those were?
Conditions were an attribution, sources at Twitter, and that we break any news on Twitter.
But you didn't break it on Twitter. Did you send the file that you released today to Twitter?
What was that? What did she say?
You didn't break it on Twitter.
And that we break any news on Twitter.
But you didn't break it on Twitter. Did you send the file that you released today to Twitter first?
What did you send what to somebody first?
Did I send the,
Sir,
actually I did, yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He turned in his Twitter files that he put up on Twitter that morning to the committee because, they've got to say, we're going to discuss it. He turns it in for evidence to the chairman,
right?
Their people. That's why this is so funny, because he's like, you've got to break it on Twitter. He put it on Twitter. It was on Twitter. But okay, this is it's so funny. And look at this expression.
Who, Matt?
Yeah.
Did I send the?
Sir,
actually, I did. Yes. Yeah.
Did you send it to Twitter first?
The Twitter
that was
files
one of the
thread?
conditions. Yes or no, sir?
The Twitter files thread actually did come out first.
But sir, you said earlier that you had to attribute all the sources to Twitter first. What you released today, did you send that to Twitter first?
See, I told you she's the stupidest.
She's the
stupidest person on the planet. It's on Twitter, but it gets better. It gets better.
Go ahead. I didn't see this part.
No, I posted it on Twitter.
First. first, sir? Or did you give it to the ranking member, to the chairman of the committee or the staff of the committee first?
Well, that's not breaking the story. That's giving, yes, I did give.
So you gave all the information that you did not give to the Democrats. You gave it to the Republicans.
Oh, that's where she's
first.
going. That's where
Then you
she's
put it on Twitter?
Actually, no, the chronology is a little bit confused.
Well, then
more or
tell
less
us what the chronology was.
I believe the thread came out first.
Where?
On Twitter.
On Twitter.
Mm.
So then you afterwards gave it to the Republicans and not the Democrats?
Yes, because I'm submitting it for the record as my statement.
I so badly want to jump in and say, I gave it to the Democrats.
Well, it's on the record. He gave it to them. It's on the record.
No. I would say I gave it to the Democrats and the Republicans and the Chinese and the French. I gave it to the world.
Right.
Jesus.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
It's like, you are so dumb. I put it on a billboard for all to see. It's there.
I like that the Twitter files, he posted the Twitter files on Twitter, which is where they came from.
That was his condition.
Right, but it's not like he's posting something he uncovered in the New York Times on Twitter. It's from Twitter.
I know. It's from Twitter. He met his condition. Elon Musk is like, you must break him on Twitter, and he even wrote about it on his Substack.
You know what the bottom line is? They perceive anyone who disagrees with them to be the opposition Republican Party members. They can't comprehend that this man is a lefty liberal doing this. It's just incomprehensible, and he's confused. He's confused by the questioning himself, Matt, because they're kind of saying, you're working with the Republicans. And he's saying, what? What are you talking about? I'm an independent journalist. They don't know that exists. They do not understand that exists. And it could have been Glenn Greenwald sitting there, or Max Blumenthal, or Jimmy Dore, or any one of a number of other people. They would have gotten the same treatment from her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but she's still a staggering moron. Well, I apologize.
She didn't get there. She didn't get there on her own wits. Let me put it that way. Wherever the hell she's from, she's a blonde.
She's from Texas.
She's a blonde Garcia from Texas. So you figure that one out.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Anyway, I had to.
That's good. That's a good one.
That one.
That's because I didn't see the latter part. I saw the beginning part of that when it was on the news last night. But
it's mind blowing. And then there was another piece. I'm pretty sure you've seen this one. Let me swap out the windows. And this is Russell Brand with John Heilman.
I still haven't seen this. I went to Russell Brand's site and he talked all around it, and he still never showed it, Brand.
Oh,
but
okay.
He's got a thing that we'll talk about it afterwards, but he's got a thing on Fox Nation now with Tucker.
Like a regular show?
Oh, no. Two-part massive interview. It dropped yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Two-parter. Then he was on Tucker yesterday.
Okay.
John, I've not known you long, but I love you already. But I have to say that it's disingenuous to claim that the biases that are exhibited on Fox News are any different from the biases exhibited on MSNBC. It's difficult to suggest that these corporations operate as anything other than mouthpieces for their affiliate owners in BlackRock and Vanguard. And unless we start to embrace, and also, mate, like just spiritually, if I may use that word in your great country, we have to take responsibility for our own perspective. I've been on that MSNBC, mate. It was propagandist nutcrackery on there. I went on a show called Morning Joe. It was absurd the way they carried on.
Morning Joe.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It wasn't morning. There was no one called Joe there. No one could concentrate. They didn't understand the basic tenets of journalism. No one was willing to stick up for genuine American heroes like Edward Snowden. No one was willing to talk about Julian Assange and what he's suffered trying to bring real journalism to the American people. And I think to sit within the castle of MSNBC throwing rocks at Fox News is ludicrous. Make MSNBC better. Make MSNBC great again.
My friend, I would love
the moment them on a territory you can win on, Joe.
Russell,
my friend, darling.
The moment that you give me a specific example An actual example.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Right, just wait.
The moment you give me a specific example, okay, I'll give you.
Whoa. Hold on.
All right.
Wait. Just
we need a specific example.
Let me tell you what the specific I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear a specific example, a provable specific example of an MSNBC correspondent or anchor being on television saying something they knew was false, and we're saying behind the scenes to people, I'm about to go out, and we know that the election wasn't stolen or something equivalent.
Example.
But I will go out on television and say the opposite. I will lie.
When's my answer?
Just give me the specific example.
I understand the basic point.
Give me a specific example.
All right.
I'm with you. I think it's a false equivalency, Russell.
It's not. It's not about bias. It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about any of these organizations you're talking about. Even on MSNBC once, big fucking deal.
My darling, it was more than enough.
You can't come out.
You hear that aggression coming through?
Yeah, he's angry. They don't have. They don't have an answer, Eric. So they just go with full Monty. Big fucking deal. He doesn't.
Oh, yeah. So,
you know what Heilman's really saying is you don't know the secrets of MSNBC like I do. Behind
right,
it.
because,
and he's right
because
about
I work there. But I still love it though because he's going. Anyway,
you can't come out with such a carrier. You have a single actual fact.
Do you want an example?
Yes.
The ludicrous, outrageous criticisms of Joe Rogan around ivermectin, deliberately referring to it as a horse medicine when they know it's an effective medicine.
Yeah, that's
what
not a bad
Rachel
example.
Maddow turning up on the TV saying, if you take this vaccine, you're
non-responsive.
What does that mean?
Non-responsive is when you don't answer a question. He explicitly is giving a specific example.
Right.
But I mean, it goes to show you how dumb these people are, or just disingenuous liars.
They're not used to being challenged. It's kind of like they're out of shape in that mental area, Eric. They're not used to anyone. The fact that he stumbled into Russell Brand over here at CBS Radford, which is where this is shot. Not CBS Radford, CBS on Melrose. He's not prepared for this. There's no briefing that said, all right, Russell Brand's going to say this. He looks at Russell Brand as a guy who was once on MSNBC. He was a comic. He used to be a movie star. So he's not ready to debate Russell Brand, Eric. There's no talking points for the guy. There's no teleprompter. How could he compete with a man with a brain?
I agree. And my thought is that he also, or these people are so used to this game of never ever answering a question directly that when he said non-responsive, that would be true 90% of the time.
Right. But he's citing an example that was pretty prominently debated on multiple channels. This is not an obscure answer for him,
No, and multiple hosts.
Multiple hosts.
You're not going to get it when it hasn't been clinically trialed for transmission.
Non-responsive.
You have to listen.
Wait.
Do you think you can improve America by determinedly and avowedly condemning Fox News without acknowledging that you're participating in the same game? Did you not just listen to Bernie Sanders, someone who plainly, legitimately believes in this country and believes it's possible to change, but is bound by corruption, is bound by the lobbying system? Surely it's clear to you, Bill, as one of
it's not clear to Bill.
And experts and comic voices that systemic change is required. Money has to be taken out of politics. We need new political systems that genuinely represent ordinary Americans so that we can overcome cultural differences. And bickering about which propagandist network is the worst is not going to save a single American life, not improve the life of a single American child, not going to improve America's standing in the world, and the world needs a strong America. I'll tell you that. So you have an obligation, a duty, not to condemn these people.
Wow.
And I'm ashamed he's wearing a Joy Division shirt.
Wow. Well, he loves Joy Division. He loves the suicide part of Joy Division. That's the part.
Apparently.
Yeah, he likes that part of Joy Division. Anyway, the reality of it is they have no answer to someone like Russell Brand, so he must be destroyed. I think they came out with some old interviews of Russell Brand this morning attempting to smear him from interviews 10 years ago. So they're going to put Russell Brand in the crosshairs like they did Joe Rogan. I don't think he's going to be affected by it. He'll survive with his 7 million viewers. Eric, what does he have?
No, yeah, something like that. He's also on Rumble.
Right.
By the way, speaking of Rumble, okay, so you got Russell Brand, who's a Rumble exclusive.
Right.
Our friend David obviously was the first one to get there. Steven Crowder's Mug Club is Rumble. It's his Mug Club is locals.
Right. How many followers does he have?
Oh, geez. The first day he did his locals, he had 16,000 within a few hours.
Right.
So.
Right. Wow. Anyway, Heilman had a partner who was fired in the Me Too movement, who I think Barnes mentioned the guy the other day, Mark, what's his name? Whose family, Mark, remember him? He was his partner on these political shows, the circus.
Yeah. Wait, Mark Weaver?
No.
Okay.
His family is really an intelligence operation. His family goes all the way back as intel operatives, and he ended up at CPAC. I think he switched over to the conservative side, as a matter of fact, because I saw the guy for Newsmax interviewing people at CPAC last year. Yeah. I think he went to the other side, but yeah. And he was always kind of less liberal. He was on MSNBC too with Heilman.
Oh, well, yeah.
Heilman's partner was. What's that?
Then he had to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, he had to go. He was Me Too'd, I think, because of his less than
Halprin.
Mark Halprin. Thank you, Mark Tinney. Mark Halprin's family, if you drill down, you will find many deep staters in the Halprin family. But that's a separate episode then today. But that was Heilman's partner.
Okay, I can't get locals to load bandwidth-wise to find out the current Crowder numbers on there. But
don't worry about it. But I mean,
they're sizable.
Russell Brand went on Tucker last night, and he essentially said the same thing he said to Heilman about the need for change in terms of the political parties. And then Tucker has a 2-part Fox Nation interview with Russell Brand that I started this morning to watch, and I think it's a couple hours long.
Well, I've been listening to the Joe Rogan interview with Russell, and Joe Rogan brought up a Bill Hicks joke that I thought was really cool.
Right.
To demonstrate the situation, he said that Bill Hicks talked about the fact that people were just choosing puppets. Oh, that puppet on the left, I like that puppet. Oh, the puppet on the right, I like that puppet. That's the right message. Then you don't realize it's the same guy holding both puppets.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
And
yeah,
I think that's the situation.
Well, who was I talking about last night? Oh, no, it was Barnes with Rich Barris, who gave us a shout out the other day on their show. What's the show he does with Barnes, Against the Odds?
What are the odds?
What are the odds? Yeah, he was talking about the Sirhan case. We were talking about with Rich about the parole. Remember, we brought that up, and he was talking to Barnes about it. But Barnes created this scenario where RFK Jr. gets the Democratic nomination and Trump gets the Republican nomination, and the deep state shoots itself in the head because it would be their worst nightmare. And it would be their worst freaking nightmare if RFK Jr. could wrestle the nomination from the Biden Comintern and run as a Democrat, which he would, against Trump.
That would be a win. That'd be a win for America.
I have no idea, but it would be deep state nightmare for them. Deep state nightmare.
Oh, that would definitely.
That's my wet dream now. That's I go to bed late at night, just smiling, going, RFK Jr. versus Trump. RFK Jr. versus Trump. You just get up every morning and there's, this is great. And everyone at MSNBC and CNN just shooting themselves in the head over the wouldn't know who to root for, put it that way. Wouldn't know who to root
no kidding. People, there's mixed feelings about Russell Brand. Interesting.
Really? Well, he's been, what's it called?
Well, he's a traditional lefty.
Right. I mean, so is Jimmy Dore. I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt. He hasn't given up all of his socialist ideals. I mean, he's still, according to himself, a socialist. So, but the Bernie Sanders thing that Jimmy Dore played today or yesterday, they asked Bernie Sanders about giving F-16 or F-111 fighters, whatever the number is, to Ukraine, and he says, I haven't even looked into that. I can't be bothered by that. So Jimmy Dore says, what are you looking into if you haven't looked into jet fighters to Ukraine? He goes, he didn't want to answer. So he says, I haven't looked into that. I can't be bothered. You know, it was just a great answer by a douchebag who people were enamored with this old, douche. All of a sudden, what's that?
Yeah, his cowardice has come through.
Right. Now it's, he called him a war pig, which he is. He gave every cent, every weapon he could to the Ukrainians. I mean, what kind of lefty liberal socialist does that? He is as neocon or neolib as the rest of them. The same with the Squad. I mean, how could the Squad in good conscience vote for this stuff?
No, I agree. I mean,
they're savages. They're savages.
It's actually hilarious because it's forced Jimmy Dore to say over and over about Matt Gaetz and I think the Free Coalition or whatever. He's like, who do what I've been telling them to do.
Well, you still see these worn out bumper stickers all over LA. You know, Bernie Sanders with a peace sign next to it on their bumper sticker. Why don't you ask Bernie Sanders how many people he killed in Ukraine with his weapons of mass destruction that he gave our money to go to Zelensky? I mean, this guy, he might as well have voted for the Vietnam War for that level. You know what I mean? The amount of death and damage he's created himself as the socialist senator from Vermont. You know, give me a break.
Well, yeah, but he has an I next to his name, Mark.
How many I's are there? Is Manchin an I? Did Manchin move out of that? No. The chick from Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
She's an I.
Because she's doing the McCain thing.
Right. She's full on McCain. Yeah.
So that's that whole.
But yeah, if RFK Jr. ran, I Katie barred the door. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to pick a spot to run or not. I mean, I personally don't think so, but wow, that would be political junkie fantasy land. You know, be like Arnold Schwarzenegger versus I don't know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Bernie Sanders for that matter, with nobody else. Without Clinton. If Bernie got the nomination as a socialist versus Schwarzenegger, that would be as close as I could imagine. Although Schwarzenegger couldn't run because he was born in Nazi Germany or something.
Right. Or his dad as a Nazi.
When you see the photos of his dad in that Austrian Gestapo uniform, it looks just like him. It's just absolutely wonderful how close he looks to his dad. I mean, it's just too much. Too much.
Ouch. So, what else is going on in the news?
Well, you had a little bit of Baldwin news, right? You had the lawsuit by the Dolly Puller. The Dolly Puller sued him along with a gaffer, I think. I forgot. I'm just remembering them by their jobs. I don't know who their name was, but the Dolly Puller, look, I mean, you're pulling a dolly and a gun goes off. Anything could happen,
Well, you have, the gaffer already had sued. That's Surge, isn't it?
No, this is another one. This is another gaffer. Another gaffer. So, yeah, he didn't want to miss the boat. And now something happened. I don't know whether they withdrew their suits or something happened yesterday. But I did get a letter or an email from the public information officer about attending the trial, which I forwarded to you last night, that they put us on the list for the trial down there, and some sort of schedule that they have. It looked like it wasn't imminent, but he listed all the different legal steps that are coming up, in terms of appearances or non-appearances or whatever, So
I'm kind of wondering if we're going to cover that live. Now I can actually sit and cover the trial all day on the channel.
Right. Well, I'd like to go there and cover the trial, inside the courtroom, and then make faces behind Baldwin during the shooting, during the filming of the trial. I'd like to sit behind him and make funny faces. I have a dream that all men can live together making phony faces behind people's back. I was watching an old episode last night. I took out a politically incorrect, And it was when my therapist, who had a book, I pulled this out because I was telling you about this story. It was politically incorrect. And my therapist was on with Joan Rivers, and he invited me to the green room because he was there. And he had written a book called The Clinton Addiction or something. The Clinton something. It was when the Monica Lewinsky scandal happened. And he came out and said that Clinton was a sex addict, and he wrote a book called Clinton Addiction. And he was on promoting the book. And dude, it was just a fascinating show with Joan Rivers thanking Monica Lewinsky for millions of jokes that she would have had to pay $7 a joke for. And
oh, I love it. I love it. Oh man. What was it? Okay. You know what? Let me go through some of the locals tips and whatnot too before the hotel goes completely wonky. Let me see. These are tips from locals. Zandanga.
Oh,
sent
like
a tip.
Super chat.
You guys are fearless. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Well, thank you.
I have a lot of fear. I have a lot of fear. I'm sharing
a lot of fear too.
I'm not fearless.
I had fear that I would even be able to do this show. God.
Right.
We had Nate actually inside of the green room, if you will, ready to start the show for me and to help out, because I am in Las Vegas at a hotel right now. And I barely got to the room like 10 minutes before the show started. So it's been scrambling. The Jane Lane sent a $20 tip on locals. Exciting new chapter commerces. Congratulations, Eric and Mark. I greatly the content, humor, and kindness you provide. Let it flow. Thanks. Thank you. S. Mandel sent a tip. Is Alex Gibney's upcoming movie about Elon Musk a sign that the deep state is nervous about Musk?
Maybe. I posted it on, just to stop for a second, I posted that on Twitter, actually to Elon Musk, talking about the Gibney family, how every one of them is a deep state CIA operative, including the stepfather, including the father, Frank Gibney, who worked directly in Operation Mockingbird for Alan Dulles at Newsweek, his father, Frank Gibney. And many people believe, including myself, that Alex Gibney is a deep state CIA operative. He received $2 million through the conduit of Universal Pictures, which had nothing to do with the movie. Universal is used as a conduit for a lot of these propaganda films. So the $2 million flowed through Universal's coffers to Alex Gibney to create We Steal Secrets, the hatchet job that he did on Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. And they have now sent up the bat signal again for Alex Gibney to do a similar type film on Elon Musk. So I was tweeting to Elon Musk about what I just described in writing to let him know, which I'm sure he's well aware of. I just wanted to put it out there on Twitter about the Alex Gibney combination with the deep state, that he is the go-to guy. And the answer to everyone is, but I really liked Fill in the Blank movie, right, Eric? I really liked Taxi to the Dark Side. It was pretty good. It would be more obvious to you, I guess, that he was deep state if the movies really sucked and nobody saw them. When somebody gives you $2 million to make a documentary, that's like $200 million to make Batman. I mean, it's a lot of money for a documentary. And that's was used for, in this case, We Steal Secrets, the hatchet job he did on Julian Assange. And look where Julian Assange is now. So I guess it is effective. Look, I mean, this is what they'd like to do to Musk.
Well, they do it already in publishing like crazy, right? I mean, that's a good way to launder payoffs. But if they want a message to go out at the same time, it's going to have to be a movie because not as many people are reading.
Right. But I'm saying that the documentary, he alternates between making, documentaries that are non-political, so to speak, which gives him the gravitas. Right. If he did We Steal Secrets every other day, nobody would take him as seriously as him doing, alternating whatever other films he's making, the ones on Scientology. I'm sure Scientology doesn't like him either,
No, probably not. Probably not.
Right.
Let me see. All right. Braxel left a tip on locals. Congratulations, Eric. Thank you very much. WWRR55 sent a tip. Congrats, Eric. Thank you. Better on a Camel sent a tip. After the Silicon Valley bank failure today, all the venture capitalists are crying for a bailout. They'd like to keep their profits to themselves, but have any losses covered by the public. Your thoughts? Sounds like 2008.
Sounds very similar. The bank has some ties to China, from what I read briefly. I don't know about China itself, but Chinese investments. So I don't know if it's the Chinese economy going belly up that's affecting this thing or not. But the New York City police, not including Nate, were called in today to prevent the run on the bank physically. The police of New York were called in to stop people, citizens, American citizens, including these executives of this bank, from withdrawing their own money from the bank today. So I don't know how the police respond to something like that, but NYPD was involved in being called in to stop these people from withdrawing their money. So I don't know, one-off or a sign of future runs to come, where the police can be called to a bank to stop people from withdrawing their money. Now in China, as you're well aware, they made it like, once a week or something, you could take out money with limits on it. They put up all these draconian different things. We may just call the police here, and have them deal with your bank withdrawals.
I don't know. We're following China already and trying to do social credit scores and shit like that. So,
finally, Fox News, to their credit, or better late than never story, cover the Chinese police stations that are all over the country. The fact that China has police stations in New York and LA and around the world. I kind of broke this story like 8 months ago. And I remember telling you about it, putting it on Twitter and different places. Nobody seems to give a crap that the Chinese Communist Party has a police station in Manhattan. And yet this was considered, nobody said a word until Fox this week said something about it for the first time. So again, these stories are insane, but nobody's covering them. It's almost like the tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They were going out and finding Chinese nationals and, trying to convince them to do something, either be arrested, commit suicide, or return to China.
Right. We got to stop using the us word in the show.
Oh. What about if it's economic?
Dude, it's YouTube. What are you going to do? By the way, this isn't that. This is the person who had my favorite alibi of all time. I couldn't have shot my wife. I was out fetching my gun. Passed away.
Who did?
Robert Blake.
Oh, Robert. That's a fascinating case. I mean, Blake, when he goes out, first of all, he asked everyone in Hollywood to kill his, can I say this? Kill his wife? Is that okay? Or
eliminate, terminate.
Okay, whatever. He tried to hire every stuntman he knew, because I guess he figured stuntmen, if you take a stuntman, he might be a guy who, is the kind of guy who would do this. And he went and got plastic and rope and duct tape. He went to Home Depot a bunch of times. He had it in his car. He's trying to convince them to do the job for him, whatever. Apparently none of that mattered to the jury. You know what I mean? But reality of it is, the Blake case actually put a damper on celebrity cases, because the DA was so embarrassed by the loss, that they didn't go after, not too long after that, Jenny Chiba and the Elliott Smith, which we discussed in our episode on Elliott Smith and the suicide, the elimination or murder of Elliott Smith by possibly this woman who was his girlfriend. That being said, Blake goes out of the restaurant, and after this event happened, he goes to a house. I know exactly where the house is, because there's a little cul-de-sac in back of the restaurant on the side. Knocks on the door, and he goes to see, who coincidentally lives right there, his NA sponsor. And I don't mean Narcotics Anonymous, I mean Nicotine Anonymous, to be specific. He knocks on the door of his Nicotine Anonymous sponsor and tells him he's about to relapse by having a cigarette. And I think that might have been an alibi or whatever, but that's what did happen. I don't know if anybody remembers that from the case. It's an odd little piece of trivia.
I had no idea there was a nicotine anonymous.
They have a chip. They give you a chip, and it says, you get like in other programs, you get like a 30-day chip. In Nicotine Anonymous, they have a 10-minute chip. They reward. I swear to God, it says 10 minutes, a black chip. Not that I was never in it, but I'm just saying they have a 10-minute chip that congratulates you for not smoking for 10 minutes. But Blake, either as an alibi or an incredible desire to smoke cigarettes, knocked on the door next door to the restaurant and ostensibly the murder scene of his Nicotine Anonymous sponsor to help him at that really turbulent time in his life.
Wow, it's insane. Somebody reminded me in the chat, and I went to pull it up, and it was already flew by. Have you ever met him?
No, I never met Blake. But the funny thing is, his wife, I think she had 7 husbands. I'd have to check the exact number. And she was selling mail order naked.
Oh, I remember.
Herself, yeah. But she was involved in stuff like this for years and years and years. And Blake claimed he didn't know about it. And she was, put in a tough spot because she wanted to divorce him, which, like William Shatner, would have led to 50% of their income forever going to this woman. And if you're living on residuals like Shatner or a Robert Blake, your residuals, let's say, this is just for argument's sake, you're taking down $200,000 a year in resids, and you go into every year you go to the Mediterranean, you go to Tuscany. These guys usually do the same thing, and they have a budget and they have a house, and whatever their $200,000 limit is on the residuals, that's their lifestyle. So to wake up one day and say, you now have to live on $100,000, that could lead a man to kill. And I suggest to you, sir, that the laws of California that were designed to protect women in a divorce settlement have led to many being offed. Just my anecdote. Yeah.
I mean, well, the residuals are you talking about? That's literally the retirement. It'd be like, somebody going and taking half Social Security from.
Yes, and again, I think that's what happened to Shatner, because when his wife came out of rehab for the whatever number of times that night, came home, and he put her in rehab because she was again threatening to divorce him, and he put her in rehab. She got out that night, went for a swim in the pool, and despite being an Olympic level swimmer, surprisingly drowned in the pool that night. So, and then he came out on his steps with crocodile tears, and then we know the story, what happened a month later. I'll take it a couple of weeks later. He was in an elevator on Madison Avenue in New York, kissing a beautiful blonde woman in the elevator, unknown to William Shatner. Another person in the elevator was Stuttering John, who went right into Howard Stern, where he was going to go to work, and told Howard Stern what just happened in the elevator. And that was broadcast live by Howard Stern moments later, that Shatner did not really have any grieving time, let's just put it that way, for his ex-wife, and would marry this one, if I remember correctly. He will marry the one who he's caught kissing in the elevator a couple of weeks after the death of his wife by Stuttering John.
What is it about them marrying? I mean, it's like, I get it, but why do you marry them?
I've given a lot of thought to that, and I don't know. Because I've seen it on both sides. When you see, like, here's what I think. If it's multiple wives, 3, 4, 5 wives on the male side, I believe it's sex addiction. I believe I believe that they just can't continue with the woman that they have because they're not really in love with them, and the sexuality is diminished to where they have to get someone new. When you're on your 5th wife, it's you. I don't think anybody would dispute that. It's you. There's something wrong with you. And what I suggest is it may be sex addiction or alcoholism that's making you do that, to keep switching like that. That's as good as I can get with that answer. But
but I'm saying you don't have to marry them. I mean, they could be sexually addicted and have a parade.
Oh, no. I think I think on the side they do have a parade. On the background they do, but they want one hostage. They want one particular hostage that they could take with them. Yeah.
Okay.
They use the word hostage in that particular program.
All right. Well, here's some more super chats. Ryan Ambrose McMahon.
What's the
Australia?
A? What is A? Australia?
Australia. Yeah. Thank you very much.
They have a dollar sign too, like us?
Yeah, it's Australian dollars. That's just what that means. Aussie dollars. Because Britain has pounds and they have other names, but there's dollars.
Right.
Sound
a bit better, yeah. He just had an operation. I think he's recovering from the operation, and he does sound better. It could be. Yeah, it's a knuckle fist. I didn't even thought of that. Very good. Well, he's in the hospital. What is with this guy, Fetterman? What's the deal? He's got. Is it abuse? He can't be abusing.
His wife left the country too.
His wife went on immediate world tour looking for a new husband. She was immediately on a cruise ship to Europe or something. Or where did she go? She went to Germany or something?
Oh, I thought she was looking for a wrench to straighten out his
No.
gears.
She went on a vacation to Canada. She went to Canada.
It's a joke.
No, but I don't understand Fetterman. He's depressed, right? So if I'm depressed, I can't go check into Cedars-Sinai Hospital, even though I have medical insurance up to kazoo. I can't just show up, go, hey, where's my room? I'm depressed. I mean, it's got to be something else, knuckle fist. But maybe he's right. Maybe it is a rehab situation. Maybe he's just like blowing up his head with substances. I mean, if you look like Fetterman, I mean, anything could happen. He may be overwhelmed by the job. I mean, I don't know.
He looks overwhelmed by
everything. But I can only suggest that there is going to be a situation where someone is going to be dead and they're still going to be voting in the Senate or the House as a dead man.
Well, he co-sponsored a bill while he was away.
Right.
So how does that work?
Dianne Feinstein does not know what day it is. And I'm not saying that to be even funny. She literally doesn't know what day it is.
Announced her retirement and was confused. What? Her staff are like, let's move this along.
What's Fetterman's first name? Does anybody know what Fetterman's first name is? John Fetterman?
John, maybe?
Okay. Here's my new movie, right? It's a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's called Weekend at Fetterman's, where he's dead, but he's voting in his office, and his staff is keeping him alive to keep voting liberal policies, and he's dead in his office. Just putting that out there. Weekend at Fetterman's.
All right. Jesus, awesome content. Gents, what are your thoughts on the book, The Plot Against America?
The Philip Roth book?
I guess.
The book is great. HBO has taken some licenses with the book, and I may have jumped the shark like they did with whatchamacallit, the superhero thing, the Marvel thing where they jumped the shark, the Watchmen, where they just went, I don't know what the hell they made. It's not the Watchmen that I know. The Watchmen movie and the Watchmen comic, HBO got their hands on that and made it some crazy woke thing. The Plot Against America, the Philip Roth thing, I think he's referring to, is an HBO series about Lindbergh becoming president and the Nazis winning the war, blah, 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 blah. I don't know where it's going. I saw one season, it was pretty good, then it ended, and I don't know if there's a second season yet, but the book is a little different than the plot.
Was that part of the thing with Amazon doing the Man in the High Castle too? That revision.
Yeah, that happened with that too. It happened with High Castle too. Same thing. They changed the book. They changed the stuff from the book and politically changed it. Not just changed it, for dramatic effect. They changed it for political purposes. And I don't know. Philip Roth may not have agreed to it. I mean, look, they're going after the kids' books now. Roald Dahl's books being changed. He's dead. He can't say anything about it. But they're going after.
You've gone after Dr. Seuss, for God's sake.
Dr. Seuss and Dahl, and so why not? Philip Roth. Yeah. They're going to change the Bible if they get their hands on the rights to the Bible. So with the movie rights, I don't know if the movie rights still exist to the Bible. It's been a while.
Well, I'm sure that it's still under copyright if Disney is involved.
What was the guy's name? Produced Shampoo. He used to be the head of Warner Brothers. He was a hairdresser who became the head of Warner Brothers. he was, I was kidding with the guy, and I said I had the option to the guy who produced Superman. He was telling me this, who?
Richard Donner?
No, that's the director. The producer of Superman, he optioned the Superman story. They had to keep paying him. They tried to get rid of him. Went to rehab, and he got out, and at one point was the co-head of Warner Brothers. Anyway, so he was telling me how they couldn't make Superman without him because he had to approve, and he owned the rights to Superman, and he was telling me that he's not going to give up the rights. And I jokingly said, that's how I feel about my rights to the first book of the Bible. And he said, what? I said, yeah, I've got the rights to the first one, and I'm not giving it up. And I'm completely joking. He took me completely serious, saying, how much do you want for it? And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not giving. And there's friends around us were on the street, and they were just cracking up. And I said, I'm not going to do it, bro. I'm just not giving up the rights to the Bible. I'm sorry. And the guy just said, just name your price. Come on. True Hollywood. Can't make this up.
Oh, God. Dustin Russell. Even if you didn't tweet it first and gave it to Jordan is the chairman.
Right.
It's up to him to get it. I agree. Yeah. He turned it in. It's just procedural stuff.
Right. That's what I think he was saying, Taibbi. He couldn't understand why she was bringing that up. And that's what
that, and then that she was so staggeringly. So you turned it over to Twitter?
Mm-hmm. You found it on Twitter?
What?
Twitter?
No, I'm like, she's what? Do you think he sent it by courier, you dummy?
Right. I mean, you found this on Twitter and you gave it to Twitter? That's outrageous. Brand interview reminds me of Ted Nugent's gun control debate. Oh, I don't remember that. I'm gonna have to look at that.
I don't remember that. Ben Shapiro cleaned Piers Morgan's clock back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of people don't care for Shapiro, but he did very well against Piers Morgan.
Well, he also had the debate with Dr. Drew as the host with Katie Tur's transgender father, who threatened to hurt him and grabbed him by the shoulder. This is Ben Shapiro. With Dr. Drew. That was scary. This crazy helicopter news pilot who was Katie Tur's father. I forget his first name.
I remember it. I remember it. Yeah. Shapiro handled it pretty well.
Yeah, I know. I thought so too.
That's mildly inappropriate for a discussion or something.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. But he did call the cops on him.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good. Well, he grabbed him by the shoulder, like hard. He did grab him at one point in the interview. But
it was a pure threat. I mean, it's like it's like that. Did you ever see the video of the GameStop manager?
No.
Okay, well, you had somebody who went in there who was a tran or whatever, and was like talking to the manager, deep voice, very.
Oh no, I did see that. I did see it.
And the GameStop manager's like, "I'm sorry, sir." Man,
yeah, I saw that. I did see that. That was creepy.
And he's like throwing furniture around and everything else is like, holy God. It was, that was bad.
Right. I did see that. That was, It's somebody a girl pointed out to me that the man to woman transition, when they go crazy, they go masculine wise crazy. In other words, they revert to the primitive man that they are. When the ones who go the other direction to become a man never get violent. There's no violence on the other
core.
Right. There's no violence on a woman who a Chaz Bono. In other words, Chaz Bono is not going to get me in a headlock. You know what I mean? But
I will say that I haven't seen a chronic situation of female to males, running in the NFL and taking away work.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Now we have a situation with the weightlifting, the women's weightlifting team. Yeah, where the federal court in Minnesota has ruled that transgendered men to women can compete in the weightlifting competition of the U.S. Olympic weightlifting.
You know what, Mark?
I don't know if it's the Olympics, but
Title IX's runs course, right? Why do we even have it?
I don't know. Unless women speak out more about Title IX, I think Title IX may become Title X. I
mean, there's no point in it if you're going to put biological males in the sports. however you break it down, because I don't care if people change their gender or anything. I'm fine with that. I have a problem with.
Yeah, of course you're fine with it. Look at you. I mean, why wouldn't you be fine with it? I'm kidding.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I'm just making a joke. Hunley, you look at you. The autism comes spilling out of you. I'm making a joke.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I have a problem with it in the terms of doping. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion, as the East Germans in the 80s.
We had a cover of National Lampoon, I think it was 1982, of an East German woman on the cover lifting weights in a East German Olympic outfit, and she's got the weights over her head and a huge bulge in her crotch. That was the Lampoon cover joke. I think it was 82 or 84, one of our covers. So yeah, I remember that situation well.
Well, and you got to see that with the swimmer who's sitting out there with the full equipment, displayed. But all right, let me get some more super chats. Scarphead, and glad to hear Eric speculate on Tuesday's show. You have 2 years worth of content ahead still. No, we have more than that.
Yeah, we have more than that. Yeah,
and there's more than
what I would do if you guys wrap this thing up and Mark gets sent to the gulag, or the aliens come back for him. We'll broadcast from the mothership. I don't know. I mean, we have plenty of content. It's just a question of preparing for it, because it takes a while to put it together.
Oh, definitely. I got this. Oh, well, I think this was asked on Locals as well, but we talked about the Silicon Valley Bank.
Well, apparently this story has got some people's attention.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I've been on a complete news blackout.
No. I mean, I tweeted it this morning. I'm surprised how many people responded. I didn't know that this was going to be this big of a story. But I guess if the police respond to people taking money out of a bank, I mean, something's got to give here.
Well, yes. And I think that the bank chicanery that's going on already, PayPal's not a bank, but still the financial world, there's some sketchy maneuvering. Sparty Matt, our favorite teacher. You guys are awesome as always. You would have loved to be in my class this week. I spent a day teaching about World War II's Holocaust by bullets and the history of certain far-right parties.
Oh, no, say it ain't so.
That you're not teaching.
They're going to take you away. Where are you, Minnesota, Sparty? They're going to come and take you, the secret police.
Yeah, I hope you're teaching in Kansas or somewhere like that. You know, there's a chance.
Better red than dead.
$20 sticker, it looks like. Thank you very much. Pasha, fun show again. I'm on the road, literally, and losing my connection. See you on Tuesday.
Wow. Oh, you know, like when a Moyle goes on the road, I mean, they can't do the circumcision in a car unless it's that commercial from the SNL parody. Remember that with it's a Beers Diamond put it on parody. Oh yeah, it was a Beers Diamond parody commercial combined with a Lincoln, the shock absorbers of the Lincoln, and there was a Moyle doing a circumcision, if I remember correctly.
Right, because these things are important. You need the most smooth ride possible.
Yeah, and Pasha has that. Pasha's got the smooth ride.
Etienne de Gaulle, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're all over the map today. We don't even know. He's in Vegas. I'm leaving in the morning for Vegas. We're going to do this thing with Barnes on Sunday. God knows what that is. 5 hours of some sort of crazy crap at an undisclosed bunker in the middle of Vegas underneath the ground where you're not going to know till an hour before the show. The whole thing sounds fishy.
Dude, looking around, it's like a bunker.
Yeah, we're going to get set up. It's going to be one of those punked episodes, you know, where we end up going to an address and it's a barbershop or something. And there's guys there from MTV.
Oh, boy. This one was posted a few times in the chat, so I just put it up. Would we come on Radio Sputnik in DC?
I don't know.
I guess I've never heard. I don't know. I'm not opposed to anyone reaching out for appearances. EricHunley.com/contact.
Wait a minute. Somebody said it was the press secretary. She said that DC was not a city nor a state, so it needed to be given statehood so it could become a city. Just so you know. the other day.
Yeah, you may need to go into hiding, buddy.
Gretchen Whitmer's Michigan. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's in Michigan.
He's
Remember
a brave
Michigan
man.
years ago had armed militias? Like in the 70s, Michigan was a hotbed of
northern Michigan especially.
Right.
Which is that, from my understanding, that's pretty isolated, and they're a little bit more daring, so to speak.
Vitello. Oh, yes, I have eaten at Vitello's. Absolutely. Everybody has. Yeah. I had the Robert Blake. That I don't know if they have a Robert Blake platter, but they do have a drink there. It's a Blake. It's called. It's 2 shots and a splash. So you can order the Blake alcoholic drink. But yeah, Vitello's good Italian restaurant.
Oh boy, I'm depressed now. Ian Fleming's Bond books are also
here we go.
updated.
Here we go. They're not going to stop, bro. People just think if we just ignore it, they're going to go away. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen.
I did hear one good thing on the Bond front that could be interesting.
Right.
Well, Idris Elba turned down the part, which is a bummer. I actually could see Idris Elba as Bond.
Mm-hmm.
But Henry Cavill may be the new Bond.
We did a parody layout where we made Gilbert Gottfried the new Bond in
right.
Coney
We
Island.
talked about it.
Yeah, we did an MTV layout with actually his sister took the photos, Arlene Gottfried, who was a photographer for the New York Times. And this has come up repeatedly where they need a new Bond. So we suggested Gilbert as Bond. We put him in a tuxedo. We took him on the rides with a gun. And the New York City cops were great. I mean, it was really fun photo shoot. But yeah, I don't know who the new Bond's going to be, but luckily the Broccoli family, they could do what they want to the books. The Broccoli family is brutal to anyone who attempts to alter, change, or gain access to the Bond films.
Good.
So Barbara Broccoli. Now, keep in mind, they invented broccoli. So the invention of broccoli can be blamed on the Broccoli family. That's why broccoli is called broccoli. They combined 2 different vegetables, cross-pollinated 2 vegetables. I think it's asparagus and cauliflower. I'd have to look that up to invent broccoli. But they also own the Bond films. And Barbara, who's the matron of the family, controls the look, scripts, and every aspect of the Bond films.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that the Cavill would be a pretty good choice, I think, in a lot of ways. And he had just gotten canceled out of Superman, and he quit Witcher because it was too woke.
Is he British, or I don't know what is he?
I believe he's British.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I don't know who the next Bond is, but Daniel Craig was a very good Bond.
No, he was, but he's gotten
go.
Up there in the years, I think. You know, he's like too old for it.
Judi Dench is 97 and she's still playing.
Well, at least that's an office worker.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some more local tips that came in. Jeff SK is saying Spielberg was recently on cam shaking Tom Cruise's hand, saying, "Thank you for saving Hollywood."
Yeah, it's a good line. It's a good line. Temporarily saving Hollywood. I mean, if I was the Academy, I would give every single award to Top Gun, but they won't. They obviously are going to find the wokest thing on that.
No, they're trying to get it out delisted for.
Well, it's in the top 10. It's in the 10 nominees already. So it's as Best Picture. So I don't think they could do anything now. But the reality of it is, economically, he's correct, Spielberg. But it's you can't have a Top Gun every year. So I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out. It's a dying industry that's about to be finished off. It's just become a bunch of indie films from foreign countries. I mean, if you look at the list of the films, there used to be a category named foreign films. That has completely disappeared. The main films now are foreign films, and those are low-budget indies. So it's now become the IFP Awards or the Spirit Awards or whatever low-budget indie awards you want to say, the Tribeca Awards, because the films themselves are not Top Gun. I mean, if you had 10 Top Guns or 5 Top Guns in there, types of films, that would be the old Oscars. But sadly, that they will not go there anymore. You know, But the people, it's so funny because look how much money Top Gun has made. You would think, hey, Bob or Camille, why don't we make another Top Gun? Oh, no. I got to film it. What is it? It's 5 transgendered, lesbian, politically correct women talking together in a hair salon about the upcoming Olympics, Special Olympics or whatever. I mean, it's uncanny how much money these people could lose of other people's money on a monthly basis. It really is. And yet still have jobs. They still have jobs. I mean, these films, like I said before, they should be sued for fraud, because when they test a film, they make a film and they go, all right, it's a lesbian bowling picture. It's a lesbian bowling picture, right? They go, oh, really? Okay, what are you going to get rid of? Well, get rid of Top Gun 2 because we've got to make this lesbian bowling picture. What's the budget on the lesbian bowling picture? It's not much. It's like, 100 million. Okay, really? 100 million? Yeah, okay. So they go and they test it. They shoot the film. They test it in the Valley, and it gets like 5 on the cards out of 100. It gets a 5. So that means that every single person looking at this says it's unwatchable. But then, okay, this is what they did with Batwoman. It tested with a 5, and they said, Warner Brothers, somebody woke up and said, we got to shelve this piece of shit. And that's what they did, because that's the legal responsibility they have. And they shelved Batwoman. And the reality of it is these other studios will put out something that tests at the level of 5 and put P&A behind it, print and advertising, to the tune of twice the amount of the budget. In other words, when you put out a film, you got to put out an equal amount of money for the budget, just a rule of thumb, sometimes twice the amount. So if the film's 100, you got to put out 100 million in ads to make the film work in terms of reaching an audience. So these guys will find out that a film sucks and then secretly behind the scenes add another 100 million onto a film that then tanks upon release. So they not only lost 100 million for the studio, they knew it sucked, but for political reasons, they put out the same amount of money to release the film and it tanks. That to me is criminal economic fraud, and they could be indicted for that. This is my opinion. I don't know what the stockholders feel about it, but if you're testing a film that tests so badly and you don't do what Warner Brothers did, I think you're criminally negligent in an economic way of committing fraud, Eric. Just my opinion.
No, I don't disagree. Okay, a couple of Rumble rants. Mr. Scott Awesome said, Judge, could you stop making faces? Mark, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I have facial Tourette's.
Right, which is what I did on that episode I was looking at last night, which had my former therapist, Dr. Jerome Levin.
You got to send me a link to that, dude, so I can. I'm
going to bring it with me, so I'll show it to you. I'll bring it with me. But cool. Yeah, it had Joan Rivers. And what's her name? Naomi, who was the one that was the Al Gore advisor who was recently gone anti-COVID? Naomi Watts. Naomi Watts is a hot little actress. Naomi Klein is the woman who wrote Shattered. It's not her. Naomi something or other. Maybe the chat. She was Al Gore's chief of staff. Naomi Wolf. Okay. Naomi Wolf is on, and she's so embittered at Joan Rivers and my former therapist talking about Monica Lewinsky sexually that I thought she was going to have a heart attack. And she was on with that guy from the Days of Our Lives, some older actor who was actually very funny. I forgot his name, but she was so embittered, Naomi Wolf, that they were making jokes about Monica Lewinsky, and the Star Report had just come out when the show aired. So it's like a little time hold, memory hold to watch that episode. Wow.
Yeah, no, I definitely look forward.
But Joan Rivers was thanking Monica Lewinsky for all the jokes. She said, really, really revolutionized and saved my career. Thank you. Thank you.
Escaped Hamster wants to know, Mark, was Maddie Simmons a good boss?
Good boss. I mean, he fired me twice. He fired me twice. I don't know how you define a good boss, but he would disappear for long periods of time. And then he would throw away his socks every day. He never wore a pair of socks twice. So you look in the garbage and there'd be pairs of socks that were like, $30 or $40 socks from, Saks Fifth Avenue if you wanted those socks. And I don't know. He was a weird dude. I mean, he invented Diners Club, credit card for Diners Club. That was kind of weird. And Weight Watchers magazine. But good guy. I mean, the guy was like a caricature. I think he got addicted to pills by his own admission, because he said that there were years that he didn't remember. Not that we knew it then, but years later, I think he said he got addicted to pills during that time period. But he was basically, there's a time when he was in Hollywood most of the time trying to make movie deals, and we were running the magazine. So he wasn't around that much. But he did find time to fire me twice, though, for reasons I don't recall at this time. But I was kind of part of the family anyway, because I went to college with his kid, and I knew his other son, and I was over the house all the time. So he treated me like family, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in a bad way. I mean, one time we went over he lived on Park Avenue. They had like a 15-room apartment on Park Avenue, and I don't know what we did, but we either did the laundry or turned on the dishwasher and went into his bedroom to smoke pot, and forgot that the machine was on, and it flooded with soap. The entire apartment was just running through like a river. And he came home early, and there was a river of suds going through the entire Park Avenue apartment. And he just started screaming, "Out, everybody out." And we all came out of his bedroom in a cloud of pot smoke and sheepishly left the apartment. And we were with a group called the Holy Modal Rounders, a bluegrass group that was playing in the bedroom for some reason. But that's another story.
Wow. Okay. Some more locals tips real quick. Clay N sent a $10 tip, and this is kind of continuing on the court thing. "Hey, Mark, I'll meet you there. We'll take turns getting kicked out of court while the other Animal House coughs bullshit. We'll have a blast."
Yeah, I just like to get in there. I don't, if we can get in there and legitimately cover it. I mean, I have the connection with the guy now. We kind of bonded, but look, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to claim that they need to get in there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I do not know if they're going to remove Andrea Reeb. I mean, it seems like they've weathered this storm, Hunley, right? Or no?
The DA is battling back.
Yeah, I don't know where.
So I don't know the status.
But I mean, it was supposed to be a judge ruling on it. So I don't know the status of the judge's rule. It's actually a judge who's going to rule. It's not just the DA. A judge.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying the DA didn't just roll over and pull her off.
No. They're pushing back. They're pushing back. But I mean, they didn't really push back against the gun charges. They kind of rolled over on that.
Well, yeah, because they fucked up. Excuse me.
Right, but I'm saying either they're constitutionally wrong about whether someone could be a state prosecutor and a state representative, or they're not. Whether it looks bad is a separate issue, but they're claiming, the Baldwin attorneys are claiming, that this is unconstitutional in the state constitution.
Which I kind of...
It either is or it isn't. It either is or it isn't. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the New Mexico state constitution, but...
It is odd.
By the way, Gene Hackman lives down there. I don't know if you noticed that. They finally found a photo of Gene Hackman. He's 93 years old. Dear God, he left Hollywood, I want to say in 2003 or 2004. Yeah. He married a girl who was running a gym he was working out in, and she was 31 years younger than him at that time. So that would make her 63 or 62 now. And he's been with her since then. I mean, since 2000, what is it? No, since 2004. So that's like 20 years. So he's been with her 20 years. Right. So he was 60. Yeah. 20 years ago.
She's keeping him young.
Yeah.
Who was it? Dick Van Dyke, I think, has a younger wife and talked about that.
Who?
I think it's Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, that I don't know.
He's like 99 or something.
Really? He's 99? That gives me some hope. Dick Van Dyke, 99. Wow.
Something like that. Let me see. Karen Toff said, "Tip, I'm pretty sure I know what hotel you're at. Be sure to use..."
Yeah, make sure you broadcast it everywhere. Make sure you let everyone know where Hunley is, or where I am.
Oh, I already told everybody where you are. There's announcements going on.
No. But we don't know where the event is. We don't know that, do we?
No.
Okay. So
No,
how does she know? She knows where you are?
Well, maybe recognizes the wallpaper behind me.
Oh yeah, she's in the next room. She's in the next room.
Well,
you're more than welcome to come find me if you can get in where I'm going to be. So good luck.
Better on a Camel said, "Is it true that Fetterman and McConnell are sharing a room?"
Oh, plot twist, my friend. Interesting. McConnell and Fetterman. What happened to McConnell? He fell down or something?
I don't know. That's the first I heard of it.
Yeah, I heard he fell down.
Okay.
I don't know what he was hospitalized. He fell down. I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yet in a tip, any comment about Roger Stone's book on the Bush family?
I don't know. It's probably, if it's any relation to the other book, I assume it'll be a compilation of other people's research.
So if he has good source material, it might be good.
Yeah, I mean, he has a ghostwriter whose name is on the book. I mean, it's just, Roger Stone is not writing these books, but I don't begrudge him that at all because that's very common. But the LBJ book, which is, like I said, it's the condensed Reader's Digest version of stuff. Some guy was telling me on the comments the other day about Robert Caro, how he saw an interview with him and he loves LBJ and he's never said a bad word about LBJ. And I asked the guy if he read the books and he said, no, he why would he read them? And I'm going, dude, the guy wrote 4 books on LBJ. There's a lot of negative stuff about LBJ in those books. This guy wouldn't hear of it because he saw Caro in an interview. And I said, look, if you're trying to sell books, you're not going to say this is the most disgusting stuff about a guy ever. You're going to say this is some, great stuff about a guy.
Well, he's an important historical figure.
Right.
Or something. Yeah.
Right. So I put in some tidbits that I learned from Caro, and there is the 5th book coming out, which
eventually,
which he doesn't have a publisher for, which I believe is a good sign that it may be dirt on LBJ that other publishers, obviously his same publisher, doesn't want to touch. You know what I mean? That's my anecdotal plot twist on this thing.
It'll be awesome if he comes through and actually
you're telling me that this hasn't haunted Caro his whole life, that he's not going to go towards the assassination from LBJ's point of view in book 5. I mean, he writes 4 books, leaving a 600-pound gorilla out of the 4 books. Now he's going to do a 5th book and can't find a publisher all of a sudden. Come on. I'm hoping, but I mean, it could be LBJ's role in the assassination, people.
Maybe he's going to say, publish when I die.
Oh, yeah. Well,
let me see. Grunt 167 sent a $10 tip for the Las Vegas bail fund. Thank you very much.
We're going to need that. I'll tell you that right now if we hang out with Barnes.
Multimax sent
I'm just going to say that's my attorney right there. The guy in the handcuffs is my attorney, Your Honor. I don't know how we got into these outfits, but that's not how we started the evening, Your Honor.
Yeah, there you go. At least get picked the American attorney. Multimox sent a tip. You guys are getting better each week, and you're my favorite internet channel. I've stopped watching mainstream media in Australia because it's rubbish reporting. Thanks, guys, for being real.
Let me ask you something. How do you like? I was watching another episode last night of Glitch, and I recommended it to some of the followers. It's really well done. Australian, of course. I again want to give a shout out to Glitch. It's a not miniseries. It's a series on Netflix, Australian, which I highly recommend. Which I watched another I've seen it before, but I was with somebody else who'd never seen it before. And very interesting series. Marvelous work by the Australians.
I'll have to check it out. Maybe I can download that from my
check
plan right.
Check it out. Glitch.
Okay. Utopia sent a tip with hearts. Thank you very much.
With hearts.
Yes, it's to you. Love for
really?
You. Otto, will Rust ever be released? If so, what kind of box office will it do?
It will be released. I don't think it's going to have box office. I think it's going to be straight to streamer, which I probably would have been anyway before this. But it'll be released. I mean, they're going to finish it. I mean, obviously, they're putting more money into it. They're bringing in another cinematographer, some extra talent. They approached some people I personally know who are A-list talent to be in it. They're making some moves.
Okay. Let me see. Minnesota's considering passing a thought police bill, Jeff SK is saying, and sent an article. I'll have to look at that later, Jeff. I don't know.
Yeah, thought police. That's interesting.
Better on the Campbell sent a tip in asking, what do you make of Judge Napolitano's comments about Trump and JFK? Did you see that? I posted it on Locals.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it yet.
Okay.
What is it? What are the comments?
Apparently, he claimed that
Napolitano
promised, that Trump calls him all the time, that they're buddies.
Okay.
And that supposedly he got Trump to commit that he was definitely going to release the JFK files. And then right before Trump was out of office, like a few days or whatever, or a couple of weeks, he said to Trump, well, what about those files? And Trump said, no, I'm not releasing them. If you saw what I did, you never would either. Or something like that.
Okay, just to be clear, Trump released tens of thousands of files, and the ones that are remaining are the same ones that Biden wouldn't release. But Trump did legally release a lot of files. We went through them. I mean,
they both did.
They both did. It's just what's left there is 1% of 1% of 1%, whatever's at the bottom of the barrel. And believe me, I don't think there's going to be a letter saying who did it. I mean, this files generic thing is absurd. You know, there's stuff down there about Mexico City that they don't want released because this is just my opinion. I don't think they give a shit about what's in there about Russia. But last February, Biden cherry-picked some old files where the Russians, the Soviets, denied being involved in the assassination, which they immediately did to cut off any political scuttlebutt about their involvement in the assassination. So because of the war in Ukraine, Biden saw a propaganda opportunity last February to cherry pick. This is so gutless. It was really gutless to cherry pick a handful of files mentioning the Soviets in terms of the assassination. And it was really nothing there. It was just them denying any involvement in the relation. He pulled out some stuff of Oswald being in Minsk and defecting to try to further smear the Soviets last February when the war began. Really gutless. And then when it came around, when Eric and I were in Dallas, when that guy was pleading with us to call Biden on the phone, remember that Biden was going to do the right thing. The Democratic operative from D.C. who was at the JFK conference was pleading with us to call Biden and urge him to release the rest of the files.
Operators are standing by.
Operators are standing by. He also released a lot of files, Biden. And I went through a lot of them, ones that I'd like to look at. And there are others that other people are looking at right now. So it takes months and months and months to read the files, just so people at home know. It's not like there's a roadmap. You got to go through everything. I went through stuff that I kind of wanted to see myself. But there are other scholars who are going through what was released. Is there stuff left? Yes, there is. There is. And they fight to the death over every single release, of files. Every single block of files that's released is fought to the death over by the intelligence units of the CIA, ONI, or wherever else is going on. And I believe, this is just my opinion, that a lot of it has to do with Mexico City, which I believe is the Achilles heel, as I've said repeatedly on this channel, of the assassination, with David Atlee Phillips being the Mexico City station chief, the Oswald impersonator, the phony phone calls from Oswald. Everything shows in September of 1963 the frame up of Oswald. But there's also the interrogation of the woman who worked in the embassy, the physical interrogation and torture of her. And there's a lot of stuff that can embarrass the Mexican government to this day. And I think that's part of the reasoning behind the non-release of the Mexican stuff, in my opinion.
Could be. It makes sense. Rolf Peterson, a tip of my hat to Freak Flag Friday. Thanks.
That's funny. We're just going to come on with bandanas next week. You know what I mean? Is anybody watching Daisy Jones and the Six, by the way?
Not yet.
On Amazon Prime. I'm up to episode 4 on this thing. It's really the story. It's a mixed bag, but it's really the story of the making. And I don't know how they're doing this. It's unless Warner Brothers or who's ever producing this is the same record label that Fleetwood Mac were on, because it's the Fleetwood Mac biopic. and everyone's got different names, and it's bizarre. It really is bizarre because it's clearly Fleetwood Mac, and they just changed people's names, but it is Fleetwood Mac. I don't know how they're getting away with it, and it's based on a novel by a female writer who. What's the current generation? Generation Z, Eric? What's the new? What's going on now? This woman is the
millennials or Z. Yeah, let me see.
Okay. Whoever this is, she's the creme de la creme, apparently a very bad writer. She's written a novel that has been optioned by the filmmakers of this series to cover their asses as an intellectual property for what they're doing. Now, they're not using Fleetwood Mac music, but the characters are clearly the members of Fleetwood Mac. The story is clearly Fleetwood Mac. And yet they're getting away with it. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac on the Warner Brothers. Right. That's what I'm thinking, Steve. Yeah, that Warner Brothers produced this and Fleetwood Mac was under Warner Brothers. So that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think they did something similar with, I think you know the guy who wrote the book, but I'm dying in.
Oh, yeah, I forget. He has a crazy name. Yeah, he wrote the book on the history of Anheuser-Busch. Also, I'm dying up here. It's a 70s.
That's it.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Bill Knodel-Sater, one of the strangest names in the world. He wrote the book. It got optioned by Jim Carrey, who turned it into a couple of comics trying to make it, having nothing to do with the factual nonfiction book that it was. About
which
David
is mind blowing
Letterman.
Because what happened in that book, I mean, you had the guy off the roof who said, I worked at the Comedy Store, doing his special jump with the words we don't say.
No, but I mean, all these people getting up and making their bones there, that's all gone from the show, from the Showtime thing. And Jim Carrey's the executive producer. He was one of the guys in the book, actually, as was Letterman, as was Leno. It was a great book because it was Knodel-Sater, who I've known for a long time, was covering the story for the LA Times at the time. So he was covering it as a journalist, and then he wrote the book years later. But the 70s and the amount of talent that was in her Comedy Store was enormous. And the book is great because it's real people. It's all gone. It's all gone from the Showtime thing. I don't know why anybody would watch this. It's just a bunch of made-up comics trying to make it. And again, I think it's because they couldn't get the life rights to all these different people. It's just a clusterfuck of problems. And I think the same thing happened with this Fleetwood Mac, Daisy Jones and the Six. It's Christy McVie character is in there, and this is clearly Stevie Nicks. When you see it, I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's like making a Janis Joplin biopic and calling her Debbie Jones. I don't know. It's still Janis Joplin to me. You have her the hair. Imagine if you saw Janis Joplin.
Well, hold on. Didn't What's Her Nose make essentially the Janis Joplin story that was under another name?
The Rose, Bette Midler by Mark Rydell.
No, the one who was married to
The Rose, starring Bette Midler, was the Janis Joplin story. Mark Rydell directed that.
Okay, no, I'm trying to remember the name
you're talking about, but
she's married to the director of Goodfellas.
She's married to the director,
or was married to her.
Ileana Douglas?
Yes, her. She was star of this movie.
Ileana Douglas was not married to him, just to be short. But Ileana Douglas, as you and I know, is the granddaughter of Helen Gahagan Douglas, the congresswoman.
I know all that.
Who had an affair with LBJ and who was the predecessor to Adam Schiff, representing Hollywood, my district right here, back in the 40s and 50s, and was the one who ran against Richard Nixon, and he turned her into the Pink Lady. That's Helen Gahagan Douglas, married to Melvin Douglas, whose granddaughter is Ileana Douglas, who I had a relationship with Scorsese, and became an actor.
I knew she was with him. I was just trying to.
She was.
Okay.
So I don't think I don't think they were married, but yeah, I don't know who she's playing in the movie you're talking about, though.
I'm trying to find the movie right now. It was literally it was a fictional movie about. It was very similar to Janis Joplin. God, she's in a lot of stuff. trying to remember the damn movie.
We were watching her. She plays in a movie called To Die For with Nicole Kidman. We were watching her the other night. She plays the sister of Matt Dillon, who marries Nicole Kidman in To Die For, the Gus Van Sant film, which I would recommend also to people for the weekend. If you want to see a good film, see To Die For starring Nicole Kidman with Joaquin Phoenix and Casey Affleck as two high school teenagers who become enamored.
Grace of My Heart.
Grace of My Heart. Okay, so who is she supposed to be playing there?
I thought that was kind of a sort of based on Janis Joplin type.
Well, if you want to, you want to look at Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges, which I'd also recommend this weekend. Jeff Bridges in Crazy Heart, where he's playing a Waylon Jennings character that's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful film. Jeff Bridges is unbelievable as this Waylon Jennings washed up alcoholic country star. And there's a Keith Urban type character played by Colin Farrell. Marvelous film.
Okay.
I recommend it.
Pat M, do you think McDonnell had a convenient, I think they mean convenient, but a convent would be a very interesting accident with Mitch McConnell in it. To miss Congress for several days when his buddy Biden announced
he's got to deal with the bill anyway. There's no place for him to hide. He's got to have to deal with that bill. I don't think that he's going to throw himself down the stairs to do that. Wait a second. Question from Mark. What do you know about the Chandler mansion rented by the Source what's the Source family there in Los Feliz? I don't know what that means. The Source family, Chandler mansion. Don't know about that. The Chandler mansion rented by the Source family. Oh, the Source family. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I have no idea what any of it is, but my sound is busting up in my ears. I can barely hear
it sounds. I mean, it sounds a little tinny, but it's no, you're
blowing up. It's like static backfeeding.
Oh well, so I don't know. I haven't changed anything since the day I met you. So
no, it's not you. It's a signal. I'm bad internet.
I'm sorry.
Going to one bar, and I'm just telling you.
I'm sorry.
So Oswald is going to be shutting us down soon, but people can always grab Oswald and other merch down below in the description. There should be.
By the way, this is a new flavor of Red Bull that I really recommend. Dragon fruit. Very interesting.
Okay.
Just to put that out there as a plug. Maybe we get a sponsor someday, Hunley. Remember we had the food company for a while?
Yep. ExpressVPN, I'm hoping we get back because I think that one lines up very nicely. And they sent some offers out, but I'll have to see on that one. But before we close out, do we know what's happening Tuesday?
I have no idea. I really don't, because I'm coming back Monday, so I should be hungover and in jail on Sunday. And then if I'm still in women's clothing on Tuesday, all bets are off. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, on that note, tomorrow I have a grill stream on Locals. I highly encourage you to follow us on Locals. I hope to obtain Mark's footage too and put that up as well.
You'd love to get your hand on that footage, wouldn't you, Hunley?
That's right. Well, especially the women clothes stealing. But no, I was actually talking about the Bill Maher.
Oh, the Bill Maher, yeah.
Politically incorrect and making sure they get stuff there. But we put stuff up there all the time. I do the grill stream. I'll be doing it here from Vegas. And Tuesday, we'll have a show.
I have to get this new book that people are hawking me about called Coup in Dallas that they're bothering me about to get. And it's if anybody wants to contribute to the PayPal book fund, JFK, the PayPal is down below. I haven't read the book, so it's by a guy named Arabelli or something, Hank Arabelli. But it's endorsed by a bunch of people who I trust, so I will read the book if we can get the funding for it. Coup in Dallas. So yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm at Lord Buckley on Twitter, and God knows what happens once you get on there.
Yep, and if you're lucky, you might get blocked.
Yeah,
So-
right. There may be a group of people who've been blocked who meet together at some point and just air their grievances where they all claim they don't know what they did. The constant theme is, I don't know what I did to get blocked, and that seems to be a constant theme. They do something, I don't remember what it is. I'm sure it's some egregious assholery, and then they get blocked, and then they go to Hunley and complain that somebody blocked them on Twitter. Can he do something about it, Hunley? And then Hunley comes to me. And I don't remember what happened. So that's where we are.
On that note, we'll see you next show.
If we